Hello and welcome to another What's Inside. This time we are looking at Monopoly at Home Reality. This is from 2021 from Hasbro, ages 8 and up, 2 to 6 players. The box is kind of boring actually. You've got your movers there, same logo, copyright information. Not particularly exciting. This is number F3184, Monopoly at Home Reality. So let's see what we've got in here. The contents are game board, 6 tokens, 28 title deed cards, 16 chance cards, 16 community cupboard cards, 32 houses, 12 hotels, 2 dice, child figure, and money pack. Ooh. So let's take a look at what we've got inside. Oh, it's sealed on all 4. I didn't break the tape on enough spaces. Now, as you can see, I took a price sticker off, which is normally a fairly easy routine task, but it actually tore this because this is kind of cheap. Not gonna lie, it's a little garbagey. Alright, so we've got a classic look to it. There's our money pack, which looks like a cereal prize. And we'll get a closer look at that stuff in a minute. Nothing under here. This is kind of a nice touch, a little classic flair. 4 square board. And here is what the board looks like. I'm actually a little disappointed with the board because this has a real cheap feel to it. The imagery is okay, but it just feels a little bit low quality. Like there's nothing to really protect the back, and the board itself just doesn't look that clean. It's got a real cheap feel to it. I mean, I've seen people make board games in their house with better product. There's nothing really protecting this, so it's just got a real tiny veneer that'd be real easy to mark up and get dirt on. And they're trying to be hip. I mean, I get why they're using like Monopoly dollar signs and all that, but takeout, yoga studio, movie theater, they're trying a little too hard. Okay, so here's the rule book, but it's not actually a book because it's a big giant fold out. Which was a little annoying to me. It is in color though, and the paper quality is not too bad. Oh look, social distancing. That's relevant, right? And it tells you how much money you start off with, which is 1,500. And what denominations, so you know all that stuff. It's got pictures of the movers and stuff like that. It doesn't tell you how much money is supposed to be in here, but it does give you a brief layout of the rules, which is pretty nice. This was underneath the game board in the box, by the way. And then we've got our standard pieces here with the hotels and houses that we told you about. These have been the standard for a while now. They're a different type of plastic than they used to be, where that was a much harder, rigid plastic. This is these kind of softer plastic, and I think a little bit inferior as far as longevity goes. But that's a pretty standard pack you get in all of these Monopoly games, all the regular ones. Unless there's a special edition or something like that, this is pretty much a standard pack. So let's take a look at our movers, which are in this bag. This is made in China. It's got some kind of code on it, so you know what it goes to, I suppose. I'm guessing it's probably all coated in lead, too. Alright, here's the Wandering Child token. This is one you want to avoid. It's actually a pretty decent little piece. And then you've got a red die and a black die that are actually a little smaller than you used to get with board games. So they're a little tinier than the regular dies from the old days, back when games were better. But you've got 1 and 6 across from each other, 3 and 4 across from each other, and 2 and 5. Pretty standard for dot dice. They're not bad quality. I do like that they are different colors. It does help mix it up a little bit. Plus, there are game rules for that. And then here we've got our tokens, which are nicely wrapped up to help us keep from getting lead poisoning, probably. And we've got a rubber ducky, because he's the one. We've got our dog, little Scottish Terrier. We've got our classic race car. We've got a penguin. We've got a T-Rex. Which it's got the code on the bottom. And then we've got, what is this? A kitty cat with a old lady's hair rag. So those are your pieces. There's some pretty decent weight to them. I thought they'd cheap out and make them plastic. So I guess I'm impressed with that. So far, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The board's kind of crap. The dice are a little small. This figure's okay. It's vinyl. So it's at least a decent quality piece. And the metal movers are good. They're in nice shape. So I think the movers are probably the best thing. Let's take a look at the cards next. Alright, so let's take a look at what we've got in here. These are smaller cards than I'm used to seeing with Monopoly. But I imagine that's a cost-cutting measure. So we've got the movie theater. Yoga studio. Aquarium. The zoo. Museum. And the school. Card quality's okay. It's not that great. They feel cheap. They feel very thin. Art studio. Now you are going to need all of these cards to play the game. Especially the tile cards here. These titles are important for the board game, obviously. Cafe. So you know how much to bilk people for when you're running your tenements and slums. Maybe that's just how I play. Bakery. Coffee shop. Restaurant. Library. The spa. Office. Bowling alley. Salon. Concert venue. Beach. The gym. Sports arena is the last of the green. Then we get into the blue with pool. And lastly, the vacation house. Alright, now instead of the railroads, you've got takeout, grocery delivery, online shopping, and then furniture delivery. Then you've got TV streaming and music streaming. Alright, let's take a look at the chance cards. First up, remember there are only 16 of these. This is a new camera, so I'm not real sure how easily you're going to be able to read these. So just bear with me while I try and work out the technical issues. It's not a high-end one. Oh boy, your dog had a virtual birthday party. How riveting. And finally, alright, let's get to the community chest ones, or in this case, community cupboard. I don't know, if I had a big pile of money, I'd put it in a chest. Probably bury it in the yard like a pirate, too. Alright, that's the last of the cards. So next we'll take a look at the money pack and see what we've got in here. Alright, I like how this is probably a cereal insert at some point. So maybe some Captain Crunch or Mr. Pennybags was going to give me money at some point, but decided to put it in a cereal instead. I don't know. Okay, your usual color assortment here. Random piece of cardboard. And it should be the usual increments. Why the 5's on top, I don't know. But let me count them out and see how we're doing with these. Okay, this seems to hold with most Monopoly games, and it looks like it's about the same here. I just did a quick cursory check, and it looks like there's 30 of each denomination. So here's the ones, then the 5, which was on top for some reason, then the 10, the 20, the 50, seems to be a lot of food-oriented stuff in these games these days. There's the 100, and lastly, the 500. So once you factor it all up, it should equal 20,580, which is 30 of each one of the bills. And of course, these are pretty standard. This is actually a little nicer than I expected. Still pretty cheap though. They're very thin. They're not meant to really last. They want you to buy more copies of Monopoly. But because this is because this is Monopoly at Home Reality, they're going to have a different centerpiece than the others, just because they want to make it unique to the set. That is what is inside the 2021 Monopoly at Home Reality board game. Overall, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. If you pay anywhere near $20 for this, you're getting ripped off. I would try and get it for less than 10. Preferably closer to 7. Because a lot of the stuff just isn't very great quality. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but I've seen $5 games that have some better quality stuff. The packaging is real cheap feeling. It's easy to rip. And the board doesn't feel like it has any protection on it at all. It feels like something somebody printed out at home and glued on top of a cheap generic board. The cards are kind of weak. They're very thin, and the money's about the same as usual, so I'm not real upset about the money. The tokens are fine. The little kid mover is okay. The dice are a little small, but they're fine. So it's a real mixed bag, but I wouldn't pay anywhere near 20 bucks for this, even if you're a diehard Monopoly collector. Unless this is the last thing you need for your collection, I would try and find it at a much cheaper price, especially closer to 10 new. If you're buying it used, I'd say $5 is about the most that I'd be willing to venture on this, and it better be complete for that too. But we've seen what's inside. You've heard my take on it. It's another Monopoly game, so it's all about how to lose friends and make people hate you. But you learn early on to play like a jerk at ages 8 and up. But that's going to do it for this episode. I may hate Monopoly just a little bit. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews and unboxings. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you next time on the Roll for Sanity channel. Bye, everybody.